Hey everyone, so I'm going to talk about how you can achieve instant guru status even if you're not a guru. Now, a word of caution here, I don't want anyone going out and doing that BS guru thing. I mean, honestly, the whole idea of being a guru at all is really, that's not my thing. But I know a lot of people are thinking like, how can I be an expert? And that's what this talk is really about. So I'm going to assume that you're going to use this well, and you're not going to throw out a bunch of useless garbage that makes the world a worse place. Okay, so here's the deal. This is something actually I pick up because of something that I was doing in my sales talks with my photography business. And this went on for a long time. Like, this was a big struggle, which was basically people didn't really believe that I was reliable. Now, here's why it was such an issue, because reliability was kind of a core part of my positioning. And I really wanted to get that point across because it's one of the things I use to differentiate me. And yet people weren't really having it. And so I would talk about how reliable I was. I would talk about all the things I would do, and I would bring it up in my meetings, but it didn't really seem to stick or leave an impression. So one day a friend of mine talks about the duck principle, right? If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck and quacks like a duck, people are just going to assume the thing is a duck. And so I think about that idea, and I start thinking, okay, instead of sitting around trying to tell people how reliable I am, let me walk and talk like a duck. Let me take every trait possible that makes me feel like a reliable person. And I write out this big long list, and I get super crazy detailed about it, down to like the type of pencil I'm using in my talks, how I shake people's hands. Every little part. I am making sure that I'm just bleeding with this feeling of reliability. Well, crazy enough, all of a sudden, I start doing this and word gets out and people are actually talking about how reliable I am, how trustworthy I am, how they believe in me. And that actually went to the point that when I would start to ask people like why they hired me, that was one of the reasons. And it was all because I focused on making sure that people felt it and not on sitting around trying to prove it to people. Well, you can do the exact same thing. If you are sitting around doing like whatever your field of expertise is, where, it doesn't really matter, but you want to make sure to adopt the traits of the type of person you want to be. So first, two parts to that, right? You ask yourself, who do I want to be? And second, you ask yourself, what are the traits that that person would have? And if you build your whole, your sense of self around that, you make sure to embed that in everything you do, then sure enough, people will react. And instead of sitting around questioning whether you're blank, they're just going to assume that you're blank, and it's never going to be an issue. If you look at how experts talk about things, they don't sit around and hedge. They don't sit around and act like, gosh, people are doubting me and let me prove to them that I'm really an expert. Experts assume their authority. They walk in and they just own a room. They own a place. They talk like they are an expert. And then when they do, people just assume they must be experts. And the funny thing is, even if you're not, guess what? It still works. In fact, there are studies on these lines that basically when people act like they're leaders, people trust them more, even if their information isn't any better than anybody else's. It's just one of those perceptual things. So if you are trying to elevate your level of trust, don't sit around and wait and say, okay, I got to go and win this big award and have these amazing things said about me that are published somewhere and blah, blah, blah. Just sit around and ask yourself, what is it that is going to cue your audience in that you are the type of person you want them to think you are, and find a way to build that world for them. Okay, so if you are looking for more information on how to connect with your audience, how to build content, and really just how to grow your business, then head on over to extraboldclass.com where I've got some free training for you. Just go there, put in your information, and then that way I can send it to your inbox. I think you're really going to love what's there. Again, that's extraboldclass.com, and I will see you next time.